My name is Ward Powers. I'm an attorney from Northville, Michigan, and I'm a civil trial attorney, happily married man, and happy father of 3 wonderful daughters. I went to school at Detroit College of Law, and I've been practicing law for about 25 years. And recently I had an experience of making an independent film called One the Movie, which has changed the trajectory of my life's experience in interesting ways that has merged nicely with my experience as an attorney, and the combination of life's events have brought me here. That the experience of making the film One and where it's brought us has introduced us to a lot of people that I feel are working at what I call the tip of the arrow, and that is if visually, if you could see all of humanity moving forward, there are people, visionaries in all different fields that are working at what I consider to be the tip of the arrow. And they're few and they're far between, but yet they sense and feel and are driven by something that motivates them to lead the way to a change. And I feel that way about the good fortune I've had recently to experience groups such as the International Alliance of Holistic Lawyers, and that is a small but courageous group to me of people that are willing to extend their own life's passion, bring it to their profession, and really try to make a difference in the world. So it's interesting to be amongst people such as that I genuinely feel are trying to make a difference. I think the process of being holistic in anything you do is the process of merging the energy of mind and heart and soul. So you're really merging spirit and matter in such a way that when you engage in whatever process it is, and it could be holistic medicine or holistic politics, but in this case holistic law, that you do that thing with a more complete sense of the humanity that you're bringing to the process, so that you are engaging every person in that process. And in the case of law, whether it's a client or an adversary or a judge, but you're doing it from such a space that the whole of you is involved in the process, so that it's not just your mind meeting the other person's mind. It is your heart meeting the other person's heart, and your soul meeting the other person's soul. And not in such a way as to detract from the exchange or limit the exchange, but rather to bring all of who we are to the interaction, so that whatever is meant to grow from that space is allowed to grow, because the parties have come to it in such a way that they have brought all of their experience and all of their humanity, spirit, mind, body, to that space, so that what happens there can fulfill its purpose. I think part of the training to be an attorney, in large part, has to do with teaching your mind a certain skill set. And whenever we learn a skill set, we tend to start to rely on that skill set, sometimes to the exclusion of other parts of our being that really should be brought into the equation. And especially with lawyers, in my own case, I've often found myself approaching relationships or problems or things to be solved first with the mind, because that is the sharpest tool in my box. You know, you spend years honing the skill to intellectually dissect and then approach a problem. And when you can hone that, master that skill set, and then back off of that skill set and introduce into the process the remembrance of your other skill sets, more fundamental though they might be, but your heart and your passion and your compassion, that then this combination of skill sets used together in such a way that you don't ever back off of the full intellectual power that you have developed. But when you temper that with the recognition of the power of your heart, the energy of compassion, and the strength of humanity that you can bring to an experience, then together the cumulative effect of those parts of who you are can do the job so much more effectively than just using that single tool that you were specifically trained to bring to the dance. And that is, that intellect, for everything it is one-dimensional. And when you can add different components to it, the mix and the range of what you can accomplish and do changes entirely, because suddenly you're not painting with one color. You've got the blues and the reds, you've got the earth tones and the shocking tones, and all of a sudden what you can create and what you can accomplish in your profession changes dramatically. And I think this is, it's an interesting process of forging ahead and then backing off. So you're forged ahead in the sense that you've been trained with a certain skill set and really been given some tools that you were told, these are the main tools you'll need to do this job. And if I could like use the analogy, let's say, of a carpenter. Here's how you use the hammer. And you're really good with your hammer. But you can't do the entire job with a hammer. You need to use the screwdriver and the pliers and all of the other tools in that box. But if you're just taught that the hammer is the way to get it done, then you can beat the crap out of everything and it'll just be a mess. No matter how good you are with the hammer, but I just think that there's a time and a place when you become mature enough in your own being that you recognize that's one tool and there's a time and a place for it, but there are other tools too, and that together, the combination of and it really is almost a combination of wisdom, passion, compassion, and intellect that allow you to really more effectively do your work in the world. My experience has been that there is an exchange that happens with the person that comes into a relationship as your adversary, that when you meet them, not so much as a matter of what you say, but how you say it. Not so much as a matter of the tactic you employ, but the method with which you employ it. That changes the dynamic of the relationship. So that the one that may have initially perceived themselves as being your adversary, as being hostile, their position was counterposed to your position, and somehow someone's going to have to win. There is a way to engage that process so that those dynamics change fundamentally. And it's not, and what's fun about it is it's not a matter of tactic, it's a matter of energy. That there's a relationship that is created when you come to the one that perceives themselves as your opponent in such a way that you disarm them without ever saying a word, without ever specifically saying, oh, by the way, my intention is to disarm you. But rather, when you come to them and make them understand that the two of you are working together to accomplish justice, to do the right thing, that they will innately recognize, oh my gosh, this is the process that I had originally hoped when I thought of myself as a lawyer. This is how I thought it would actually work. But we're trained long ago that it was a winner and a loser, two sides, somebody's going to go down here, I'm right and you're wrong. And when you can change that dynamic, not by, again, defeating the other person, but by engaging the other person in such a way that they innately recognize that you're working together, everything changes. And then you're both able to accomplish what you both came there to do, and that is to do the right thing.